Welcome back to the Little Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Damson, and before we get into today's episode, I want you to do me a very huge favor. If you find value in each and every conversation that we've had on this platform and on this show, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe or hit that follow button right now. And also leave us a rating and review and a comment on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube, wherever this podcast finds you. It's a small click for you, but it is an opportunity for us to be able to expand the audience and be sure that this content finds more listeners like you out there. Now, let's get into the reason we're here today. Today is conflict. And in reality, most people believe that a lack of fighting is the sign of a healthy relationship, when in actuality, it really isn't. Whether it's a partner, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a parent, that silence that you leave, or that time when you don't choose to fight back, that is the poison. And it grows slowly. It grows exponentially. Harmony without honesty is just a fragile mask for disconnection. We tend to see these couples, we tend to see these teams that never argue, and we think to ourselves, that's it, they figured it out. But they might just be building a wall. And research shows us, and psychologists refer to this as the peace faking cycle. It's the habit of suppressing your needs to avoid a moment of tension. The problem is that suppressed needs don't die. They turn into micro resentment. Over time, these build a wall so thick that you can no longer see the person on the other side. And I want to change that narrative today because I am a victim of it, and I believe there are so many other people who are listening in that have faced this as well. And I'm going to show you how to use friction as fuel to build a bridge instead of that wall that we have just talked about. And on this episode, I have just brought up 5 ways for us to be able to do that. So let's dive into that right now. Number 1, the I don't identity shift. When dealing with conflict, we should begin with our internal boundaries. What we put up with and what we don't put up with. Most conflicts tend to spiral because we feel our autonomy is being threatened. And when we take a deep dive into this, a person saying I can't, when someone says I can't, it sounds like you're making someone out to be a victim of circumstance. Or we sound like we are victims of circumstance. Best example of this, I can't talk right now because I'm overwhelmed. That statement in and of itself invites the other person to push back on the boundary that you think you have set. Because it's not a true identity, simply because of the use of I can't. But a better way to rephrase that, instead of can't, use don't. I don't is a statement of character. Best way to apply this next time a conflict arises is I don't engage in serious discussions like this after 9 p.m. It doesn't put you in a position where you're a victim of circumstance. It's you truly stating that it is a definition of your peace. It's not a personal attack, it's nothing personal on the other. It's just you. I don't do this, I don't do that. Sounds a bit more, sounds a bit more identity worth. It seems better to state it that way than rather making yourself out to be a victim of circumstance because a conflict has come up. To take you through the some sayings in the realm of philosophy, I think we have come across this before, but I have to state it again. Plato once said, the first and greatest victory is to conquer oneself. And when you use the I don't kind of statement, you are conquering your own fear of being disliked and choosing your integrity over a fake sense of peace. So that's number one. Let's go on to number two. The we perspective. Conflict usually feels like a courtroom where both people are just trying to say their piece, where both people are just trying to prove that the other one is guilty. And I believe that just drives the wedge further. To create chemistry, we have to change the sitting chart. Best way to apply this in a day-to-day kind of perspective is instead of sitting across from each other and pointing fingers, yes, pointing fingers, you did this, you're responsible for this, you're always doing this. Try and move to the same side of the table. Instead of confronting someone like that, you should swap out your argument. Swap it out in a way of integration. I've noticed that we've been struggling with this and this problem. How can we improve that together? To take you back to philosophy, Socrates believed that the truth isn't something one person has and gives to another. It is something that is discovered through joint questioning. And the result is when you move to us versus the problem, the friction stops being abrasive and it starts being productive. Number three, the 2-minute repair rule. We've all learned this in science, and it's a fact. Friction creates heat. If that heat is not managed, it leads to emotional flooding. And that's the point where your brain's logic center shuts down and the fight or flight center takes over. Researchers have found that the most successful relationships are not the ones that don't fight. They're the ones that tend to repair things very quickly. A repair is any gesture. It can be a softened touch, or it can be a small tone, or it can be an admission of fault. That de-escalates the tension much quicker. The best way to apply this is if you feel the heat rising, use the 2-minute rule. Take 2 minutes to breathe, or take 2 minutes to offer a small repair. Best way to apply this is if you know that you're that kind of person whereby when conflict arises, you tend to take the defensive, take a breather. Tell the other person, tell the other party, tell your friend, tell your partner, tell your parent, tell your relative, hey, I'm getting defensive. Let me take a second so I can actually hear you. Taking time off to actually repair gives you that opportunity to be able to actually hear out another person or what they're saying, rather than just it being a back and forth, because back and forths tend to be very draining. I know that for a fact. I have experienced it. So that is what I have for you. Number 3, the 2-minute repair rule. On to number 4. Number 4 is something I like to call the noble failure audit. We have to admit, sometimes, despite everything that you put in, despite your best efforts, despite everything, conversation or conversations tend to go off the rails, and that's not your fault. Can come out just because of something that's going on, or someone else's emotions are badly affected, and conversation tend to go off the rail. You try to be honest and they shut down. They're not ready to hear you at that moment. To conceptualize this better, in innovation, we talk about noble failure. This is a failure that happens despite a good plan. Despite a good plan and despite setting high standards, it still comes out as a failure. The best way to apply this in the next conversation that you're going to have is, if at all that the conversation turns sour or turns difficult, ask yourself these questions. Did I stay calm? You can even just make it a checklist for yourself. Did I stay calm? Did I avoid name calling? Did I seek a solution? And if you did, that was a noble failure. It provided you with data on the other person's current capacity, which is vital for your next move. So that is what I call the noble failure audit. Look to see what happened in the difficult conversation you are going through, and ask yourself whether you tried your best, whether you put in the most effort to try to see a better way forward. Yeah, that's what I got for you on number 4, the noble failure audit. Number 5 is practice amor fati. Amor fati is the love of one's fate, or basically just call it love in the heat. As the last way to turn conflict into chemistry. You have to change your fundamental view of discomfort. In philosophy, there is a one Friedrich Nietzsche. I believe I've talked about him before. Or if you haven't, I refer to him a lot. This philosopher spoke of amor fati, which is the love of one's fate. He didn't want us to just endure the hard parts. He wanted us to love them as necessary ingredients for a great life. That mindset has you thinking that when tension arises, your gut reaction is, this is bad. That's the mindset that we tend to have when conflict arises. But replace that. Replace that with the statement of this is chemistry. This friction is necessary because it brings us closer together. And this friction is the only way to reveal the hidden cracks that need fixing. Without that type of heat, the bond can never be forged into something stronger. I believe we have covered a lot in today's episode. From the position of silence to the wisdom of Socrates and Plato and all other philosophers. Remember, you cannot have fire without a little rubbing together of stones. If you want warmth in your life, you have to be willing to handle some friction. Or better yet, there's a quote by Denzel Washington, which I like. He says, if you pray for the rain, then you have to be prepared for the mud too. It's just a part of it. Final reminder for us is if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Your reviews, your comments mean the world to me and us. And it helps us keep this Little Growth community moving forward. So, what's the personal challenge that I have for you, audience who is listening to this podcast right now? Be honest with yourself. So, number one, what is the one thing you have been quiet about this week? With your friend, with your partner, with your parent, to try and avoid a sin or trying to keep the peace. Number two is I want you to bridge that conversation. Try to bring it up using a we statement. And take a screenshot of this episode and tag me in it on your Instagram story. Tag me little.with20 and tell me what that particular conversation is that you're willing to have with your partner, with your friend, with your parent, and let's grow this community together. Okay, I've left you with all that. So this has been the Little Growth Podcast. I still remain Damson. Stop building walls of silence and start building bridges of truth. I hope to see you in the next one.